Good afternoon, Mr. Waternoose. My name is Abby Shrewsbury, and I just wanted to thank you so much for hiring me on as your human resources consultant and just for meeting with me this afternoon. We can dive right in as your company has shown some massive, fantastic problems in their human resources department, and one of which is the hazardous working conditions that you both give and give the perception of to your monsters. In the Occupational Safety and Health Act, it says that employers have a duty to provide an environment free from recognized hazards that cause or are likely to cause death or serious physical harm. And while it has been discovered that you've in fact been lying to your employees, and when you tell them that the touch of a child is deadly, and it in fact is not, um, giving them that perception also falls within that, and really hinders their ability to work very well for you. Other factors could be the danger of the children's toys whenever they go beyond the child's closet door. Like in this case, this monster slipped and fell on the jacks in this child's room and caused serious physical harm to himself. Um, Another issue that is prevalent in Monsters Incorporated is favoritism. And while James Sullivan is the top producer and is close to breaking the scare record, favoring him over other employees creates tension and can hinder motivation from the rest of the company. As you can see here, Sully has been the scarer of the month for 11 months now. And really, that promotes a feeling of inferiority throughout the rest of your company. Workplace violence is one of the most serious problems that was prevalent in your company and was seen from both management like yourself and the scare team. Monsters displayed multiple incidents of violence, including physical forceful interactions, threats, kidnapping, and imprisonment. Randall imprisoned Mike in a back room against his will. As you can see here, you exude physical force and intimidation towards Sully, and Randall really like physically closes Fungus's mouth and is very forceful with him. The management style at Monsters Incorporated is very authoritarian. You have a very it's my way or the highway mentality, and even have some signs posted around the company that say that, and it doesn't promote trust or unity within your company. Managers like yourself should discuss issues directly one on one with employees, make recommendations, and reprimand when necessary, but only to the degree of which the wrongdoing warrants. For example, the only disciplinary action that is present in Monsters Incorporated is banishment, and this is a huge issue. Banishment is not a joke and should not be viewed as a convenient way to get rid of any of your problems. It should be a last resort. This is where you can see the it's my way or the highway picture, and this is both being forceful with your employees and banishing them before giving them any warning or any opportunity to grow. So I have quite a few recommendations based on those issues. First of all, you should ensure safety in your facilities, and I strongly consider abiding by OSHA standards. You should also implement safety awareness training for incoming monsters. That way, you can ensure that they're aware of anything that could be a danger to them, like toys that they might encounter in a child's room, and how to avoid potentially being seriously physically injured from those things. You should frequently check the facilities for any potential safety hazards and immediately deal with them because it's a huge issue. And you should also refrain from using fear of harm or death as a method of controlling your employees. While it might seem that they are more willing to comply with what your rules are. If you intimidate them, really the more hazardous the work environment is or seems, the harder it is for monsters to believe that you truly care about them and have concern for their safety. You should also eliminate favoritism. There should be some sort of reward system, but it should allow any employee to see not only where they are excelling, but where they can improve. Because the best kind of reward system doesn't just lift somebody up, it tells them what their next steps can be and where they can go from there. That way, they can be the best monster they can for your company. And rather than encouraging them to compete with each other, you should really promote self-improvement within your monsters, because really the best way to improve a monster's productivity and production is to allow them to compete with the monster that they were yesterday, and just have them focus on improving themselves rather than trying to beat somebody else. You should also promote teamwork, and I think this will do wonders for the tension and the communication issues that are in your company. It also might downplay the violence a little bit and tone that down a little bit. But you should really encourage employees to work together to find solutions to everyday problems and big problems. One suggestion I have is to hold a team building workshop in which monsters are tasked with facing large obstacles as a group. So, for instance, maybe you could team up some of your scarers and provide a hindrance to them, such as they can't take more than a few steps or cannot use their roar to scare a child, and have them as a group come up with some way to still be successful in scaring the child, because this will really help them communicate better and understand each other better, and really help each other through any issues they may face. Another suggestion would be a time where employees can switch roles and spend time outside of their normal work area. I wouldn't suggest doing this necessarily during a time where production is very important. Maybe do it after hours for a little bit, and don't do it for very long. But this would really increase respect and understanding between the monsters in your company, and especially in different divisions. Where respect and understanding might be slightly more likely to be lacking. The most important thing, really, for your company is to eliminate the violence that is so prevalent. And this should be unacceptable. Really, management should hold themselves to the same standard that they wish to hold their employees to, and create an atmosphere of trust, respect, and safety. So that means that not only should you expect your employees to have trust and respect for each other, you should have the same respect for your employees. There should be a zero tolerance policy for violence for both employees and upper management. And there should also be some sort of training that can focus on the correct ways to deal with conflict without violence. And you should encourage monsters to report any misconduct. In this regard, you should really keep an open door policy and be understanding when monsters come to report these kind of occurrences, because statistically, workplace violence is very rarely falsely reported, and it's important to take it seriously and investigate it thoroughly. Some overall changes in management. The style of management for Monsters Incorporated really needs to be more inclusive and less authoritarian. It would really do wonders for the respect and trust within your facilities. It's important to get away from the "it's my way or the highway" mentality and understand employees' needs, concerns, and wishes. That doesn't mean that you should take and implement every single thing an employee brings to you, but you should really at least hear them out, because management thrives when employees feel they can be heard. No employees should exhibit violence, and management is no exception, including yourself. Managers should lead with grace and understanding, as you would hope that would be given to you. The disciplinary techniques that are displayed, which is banishment, it leaves little room for error. And monsters make mistakes, and they need to be given the opportunity to grow rather than be banished right up front. So here are some recommendations that I have for your employees. Sully really proved himself as a great managerial candidate. He really cares for others, has great leadership abilities, and can innovate in every situation to capitalize on whatever it is that he's trying to do. Sully is a great communicator and a motivator, and he's really good at seeing potential future needs and going ahead and filling those. So he's a great candidate. He knows monsters from just about every level or position and knows them by name. He shows a genuine concern for not only the success of the company, but above all for the personal success of each monster. He's very caring, and this is one of the biggest things in management that you can have. And I think he's a great candidate for that. Mike is very loyal, and yes, he does sometimes struggle with smaller tasks and like the monotonous daily work, such as turning in his paperwork. But he sincerely cares for his job and the company that he works for. And even though he may not be the best communicator and can be easily frustrated, this is definitely an area that he can improve on. And once he does that, I really do think that Mike would be great as a more visionary, big picture role, since he does have a little bit of a problem with the monotonous tasks. I think he would make a great coach for incoming monsters that are new to the business, to really kind of help them through anything they may be afraid of or insecure about, and just to help them through the process of learning the new job. Now, Randall is one of the employees that needs very serious action, and he needs to be significantly disciplined, if not immediately terminated. He's violent, manipulative, and power driven. And since you have not yet taken formal steps to improve his behavior, termination may lead to a wrongful discharge lawsuit. However, if you take my recommendation and adopt the zero tolerance policy for violence, he should be reprimanded and given a notice that any continuance of his behavior will result in immediate termination. His attitude and actions against his other team members make him a threat to the company's physical and psychological well-being, as well as that to those around him. This should be done with caution, as he is likely to react violently since he has a history of this kind of behavior. Now, Roz is a solid employee right where she's at. She has a great understanding of what needs to be done in order for the company to run smoothly. While Scarers may focus on the scream quotas that need to be met and some bigger picture issues, Roz takes the small details, understands why they are necessary to keep the company running, and implements them as best she can, and really tries to hold other monsters to that standard and remind them that they have things that she needs from them. She's really great at the position that she's in. Now, Celia is overall a pretty good employee, especially for her position at the front desk. She takes phone calls very well and greets people very well. She's very chipper and can really provide a great face when you come into Monsters Incorporated. However, she has a habit of bringing personal issues into the workplace and allowing it to affect her work. For instance, whenever she's mad at Mike, she leaves her post to go confront him about it, and really kind of tends to make a little bit of a scene and overreact. But if she can be coached to maintain a professional attitude during work hours, and maybe leave some of the personal stuff to be dealt with afterward, or at least deal with it more professionally, she'll really be a great asset for Monsters Incorporated. Thank you so much for meeting with me, and for hiring me on as your consultant. I've really enjoyed getting to know the monsters, and I hope you take some of my recommendations into consideration.